in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone. Hi. Yeah, I hope you guys were able to solve the assignments of the last class. So do you had any difficulty in doing that? There were two assignments. One was on validation and other one was to calculate the exam score. Okay. Which assignment one? Okay. You can talk now.
Okay, actually, the previous assignment for the validation
Okay. Just give
for
me
the
a
text works, I have like for the text field
excuse.
the alphabets only. So I have the two ones, one alphabet only and one to check the if there is it's empty or not. So how to call two functions on one text field? I used on blur for alphabets.
Okay. So here, right? So you're saying that you're already using onBlur for one of the function. How do we
Yeah,
call another function, right?
yeah,
So what you need to do is you need to write sub-functions. The way you have written validation for empty, right?
yeah.
Similarly, you can write for as many functions as you want like this.
I have written a function for only alphabets, like all
Yeah.
letters only. But
Yeah.
I don't know how to call that function over there.
So you will be invoking a single function from here.
Yeah,
Instead of calling validate for empty or instead of calling alphabet, you will be calling one more function called validate first name or validate whatever validate xyz.
okay,
Now within this you will be testing for what? You will be testing for validate for empty and you also will be testing for alphabet.
alphabets, okay.
This is actually the procedure which we follow mostly. Otherwise you can have a lot of options. What you can do is you have on blur, right?
Yeah,
And you have something called on key up. Then you can call one function. You have on key down. But this doesn't make sense. You have on key down. This on key down and on key up is all about, when you press the key, or you can also have something called on key press. But if you have multiple function, it doesn't mean that you will be using multiple events. You can use only one
okay,
event on blur, and what you can do is on blur only you call one function. Within that one function, you call the sub functions and get the things done.
okay.
Is this clear?
Yeah, so how to call over there? Like just write over the two function and the objects?
See, normally now, let me do it. You're calling for what? Validate for empty, right?
Yeah,
Now let's say validate the field, whatever the field it can. Okay. Now it takes two arguments. The first one is what? ID. The second one is what? The value. Now you need to check for empty, right?
yeah,
Now your empty function should do this. Along with this, it should return true. Oh, it should return false. So whatever,
Yeah.
return true. Now what you do? You call the function call validate for empty, and you pass ID, comma value to it. Now that returns a boolean value, right?
Yeah.
Now you know if it is false, if the boolean value is false means what? It is not empty, right?
Yeah.
According to this, if it is false,
It's false, it's not empty. Yeah.
then you need to worry. If it is not false, you don't need to worry. Because if it is not false, you already said that it cannot be empty, right?
Yeah.
If it is empty, what you are supposed to do? Sorry, if it is empty, you are already printing a message, it cannot be empty.
Yeah.
If it is not empty, then you need to check for alphabets, right?
Yeah.
Then again, you
Then we
say,
call second function.
yeah, check for alphabets.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now again, depending on the status of this, it's not there, the check for alphabet function. Now again, depending on the status of this boolean variable, whether it is true or false, then again if you have to check any conditions, you can check it, otherwise you can ignore it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we are displaying a message or in that function check for alphabets already on upward, we are displaying that
Yes.
and alphabets only, then we don't need to do this if status is equal to true. We just call a function.
Yeah, we just call the function there. No, why I'm doing here status equal to true again, because now you tested for empty, right?
Yeah.
You tested for empty, you also going to test for alphabets. Now if you have anything
Yeah,
else,
but the alphabets we are testing in, it's already in a function.
yeah, true. But suppose now check for alphabets, or yeah, now you check for alphabets. Now you found that it contains only alphabets, right?
Yeah.
Now if you want to test anything further,
Okay.
if you need
Only
to test,
then we do this if else.
no, if you have anything else to test, then you do it. Otherwise you don't need to do it.
Yeah. Okay. That's what okay.
You have nothing to test, simple, done. And in case if you want to test something else, like suppose if you check, what we call, I have to check whether alphabets exist or not. I also need to check special characters exist or not. So I have to test a lot of other conditions, right? If you have any further conditions to test, then get that status value. Basing on that status value, then again you can write multiple conditions to be tested. You can call some other function if you want to check. Suppose I check for alphabets. Now I want to check for special characters. Then I call another function.
Okay.
Now in case if I have to test again something else, then again assign it to boolean. Depending on the boolean, again you test something else.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah.
And for the second assignment, I just got confused over there.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah. Like you have this written this function question, then it's variable question array,
Okay.
and you are doing question array 0, question array 1, question array 2. I don't understand what's going on over there.
Oh, this is an array concept actually. Now what I'm trying to do is, in Java, now if you take any Java example, Now if you see, you have a bank. The bank may have personal customers and commercial customers, right?
Yeah.
Now what is this? This is an array declaration for personal customer. Okay.
Okay.
Now this array is capable of holding how many customers together?
30.
30 customers, right? Now what you do? There is a counter. There is a counter, and what is the value in the counter? 0.
0.
Then what are you trying to do here? Into the array of 0, you are trying to store the first customer object, right?
Yeah.
Then you increment the counter value.
Yes.
So when you come back next time, where are you storing the next new customer object?
At the first position. So,
Now it is not in the 0 location, right? Now it is in the first
yeah.
location.
In the first position.
Then again you increment. It goes back to second location.
Second one. Yeah.
Now same thing, I'm doing it here. I have an array.
But I didn't get.
This is how we declare arrays in JavaScript. Array declaration in JavaScript.
Okay.
Then
But the thing I didn't get, it's like where the option we have selected, where that value is going,
I didn't get you.
where we are storing that value.
This is a object. This is an object stored into the location pointed by array of 0.
Okay.
Now, see, if you go back to this example, what is happening here? You are creating an object, right?
Yeah.
You are creating the object and you are storing the object where? Into the array of 0 position, right?
0 position. Yeah.
Then when you increment the counter, when you create your next customer object, where are you storing the next customer object? Into the array of
Next
1.
position. Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing happening here too. You are creating a question object. Now this is like your object creation in JavaScript.
Okay.
But you don't declare a class in JavaScript. The function acts like an object. You see, this is a function.
Yeah.
The name of the function is question. When you use new operator with the function, that acts like a object creation. So you are creating the object. Now this object got how many attributes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attributes.
6. Yeah.
So you are passing the values for those 6 attributes. Right? Now you are creating the object, but this object should be stored into some variable, right?
Yeah.
And the name of the variable is this. When do we go for array? Array is a variable which is capable of holding multiple values, right?
Yeah.
Now this is an array, and how do we refer each individual item? Array of 0, array of 1, array of 2, array of 3, and array of 4. So this is the variable name holding this object. This is the variable name holding the object.
Okay.
Variable name holding the object. So you have how many variables? You have 5 variables holding 5 objects. So what is the size of the array now?
5.
The array size is 5. So that is the reason I am looping. How many times I am looping? Length of the array. What is the length of the array? 5, right?
5, yeah.
So from 0 till length of the array you are looping it, and you are constructing some radio elements. Suppose if you look at the example over here, so if you see, actually the thing is, I have written the same question every time.
Yeah.
I have written the same question every time, but if you want, you can change it. Right?
Okay.
So you have 5 different questions. Okay. Now
Yeah.
you have a data. This is your data. Your JavaScript is holding the data. But I
Okay.
want to display those questions in the form of HTML. So here I'm
Okay.
combining HTML and JavaScript. I know I have 5 questions. Now I
Okay.
cannot display the questions as it is. I want to display those questions in the HTML format. Like if you see the option 1, these are the radio buttons followed by options, right?
Yeah.
And in front of the radio button there is a question.
Question.
So how did I construct it? I know there is a JavaScript array, so I'm looping it.
Okay.
So I'm taking a HTML variable. It's a text. It's a variable, simple variable. I'm
Okay.
concatenating the text. I'm considering everything as a text only here. It's all written in double quotes, right? So
Yeah.
when something is written in double quotes, it's a string. But while assigning to this div, there is a region. There is a region here
Yeah.
which is empty. Now while assigning the text to the here, I'm saying that don't treat it as a text. I'm saying treat it as a HTML. So the text consists of this input tags. Whenever this consists of the tags, that is to be treated as a HTML.
Okay.
Now what was the other objective was, now I displayed the questions for you, right? Then I may be selecting some radio buttons here. I can select only one out
Yeah.
of the both or one out of the
Yeah.
4. So what did I ask you was, let's answer all these questions. Then after answering all these questions, have a submit button. Have a button. When you click on
Yes.
the button, first you need to check whether all questions are answered or not. If all the questions are answered, then give him the score. That was the objective, assignment.
Yeah.
Just make an attempt and I'll help you with the solution probably in the next class or something.
Yeah, but the only thing I was telling, like the value we are selecting, like radio button, which we have selected, where does that value go stored?
Oh, that value will be in the HTML itself. So using JavaScript, okay, here what you can do is you can add one more button. I understood now. So where that value goes, that value will be in the
Yeah.
HTML itself. Input type equal to button value equal to submit exam. Then on click you call the function calculate the score. Right. So you write here function calculate the score. Look at this. You see this button? Now what you need to do is, you are selecting some radio buttons. Now your question is where these values go, right?
Yeah.
These values will be in the HTML only. Now what you need to do is, when you click on this button, when you click on the button, you should get all those radio buttons. Suppose if you see, here every radio button group is sharing one number, right?
Yeah.
So this is a loop.
Remember here.
So for every cycle there are 4 radio buttons. For every cycle of the loop there are 4 radio buttons, right? 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all these radio buttons are sharing the same name.
Yeah.
Now what you need to do here is, here I is 0, I less than I plus plus. Now you need to check. How do you do that? Document.
Question area I dot selector.
Yeah, you can do one thing here. Okay. No. You should say document dot get element. We don't have ID, right? Because we don't have ID for the radio buttons. We don't have the ID for the radio buttons.
Yeah.
So we just need to have. Okay. So what I need to do is, there's no forms here. Document dot get elements by tag name. So when you say get elements by tag name, what is the tag name? Radio. What is the tag name? Oh, tag name is input. I'm sorry. Input. So here we go. Get tag. So let me check how many elements I get. I don't need this loop actually. I refresh. At the bottom I have a button. Now what is happening?
0.
It's 0, right?
Because we only select
Not
one.
better actually. So, oh, I'm sorry. Get elements by name. You see, it should not be input here. Rather, you have options actually. There are a lot of options. Now I say get elements by tag name. What is the tag name here? Input, na?
Input.
When you click on this submit, how many elements it is showing? 22 elements, right?
22.
Let's see why. Now there are 5 questions I have. So this loop repeats for how many times?
5.
There are 5 questions, so the loop repeats for 5 times. So 5 times of 4, 20, right?
20.
And after 20, you see this stuff. There is one more extra.
Yeah.
There is 21.
21.
And there is one more button here. 22. So totally how many input tags we have? 22 input tags it is. That is what it is showing. You have 22 input tags. But are we interested in the 22 input tags? No. I am not interested in type equal to button. I am only interested in what? I am only interested in type equal to radio.
Radio. Yeah.
So this option is not seeming to be the right option. So let me take the other option. Get elements by name. Now here, how do I get the name? I is 0, I less than array dot length I plus plus. Now I know that. What is the name of the elements here? This is what, right?
Yeah.
So I get the name, I get the elements. Now let me say what happens. Now I refresh. I go down. So what is happening? 4,
It's 4.
4, 4, 4, 4. There are 5 4s. Because
Okay.
with same name there are 4 radio buttons.
Yeah.
With same name there are 4 radio buttons.
4 radio buttons.
Now what should I do is, from that group you can select only one radio button, right?
Yes.
Now let's say what is happening? You got trainer,
String.
trainer, trainer, trainer. You got 5 times trainer, 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 right?
Yeah.
But why? Because we didn't select any radio button. There is something wrong.
We have given the correct answer 1.
No. Correct answer is 1, that's fine, but I am not using anywhere correct answer. Then option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. So here it should be okay. No, we just need to check why it is giving you a trainer option. Okay, let me select something and then try. I pick
Okay.
designer, developer, programmer, trainer. So there's something wrong in the HTML part. So you have different options actually. Oh, got it. The reason is it's not wrong with the HTML. Here you are doing what? Elements of 0, right?
Yeah.
So the first element is trainer only, na?
Yeah.
Everywhere the first option is what? Trainer itself.
Trainer.
That's the reason it is doing. So what I need to do is, I'm not supposed to say elements of 0 selected. Now I need to say, now within this again there will be an inner loop. J is 0, J less than elements dot length, J plus plus, because every group got 4 elements. Now here I need to check, is this element selected or not?
Okay.
I need to check whether that element is selected or not. Out of the 4 radio buttons, I'm checking, is this radio button selected or not? If it is checked, I'll say alert elements of J
dot value.
Now nothing is selected, so no radio button.
Okay.
Now I start picking up some. So the first option is trainer I selected. Second also trainer. Third is programmer. Fourth is designer. And the fifth is developer.
Fifth is developer. Okay.
So this is how we find so which radio buttons are selected. Okay.
Okay.
Now I need to check which option is correct, right?
Yep.
So here correct answers I'm marking it as 1, right? So I don't say 1 now. I'll write the correct answer. So my correct answer is trainer. You can write anything.
Okay.
Otherwise you write different things here. So for third question correct answer is programmer. For third one it is designer. Fourth one is developer. Whereas fifth one is trainer again. Now what I do? I have these elements of J dot value. The moment it is selected, I know that out of the group only one will be selected. So I'm comparing this value with what? If
The correct one.
questions array of I dot, what is that? Hey, you got, yeah, number, question, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. So we don't have correct answer here, right? In the constructor. Correct answer. Correct answer. Now here I'll be saying here. Correct answer is equal to elements of J dot value. Means if the selected radio button value is equal to the correct answer, then I take a score. Then I do score plus plus. Now once I complete all the loops, I give a message here. Your score is, that's it.
Okay.
Your score is 5. I got all of them correct.
Okay.
Now let me make a mistake here. Or it's still giving you the score as 5. There's something wrong in the logic here again. So what is happening here? Questions array of I dot correct answer is equal to elements of J dot value. Then you are incrementing the score. Let's do this alert. your score is 0, it's fine. Yeah, there is something wrong in the logic what we have written. Whereas the correct answer is not developer, right? Every time. Get the question. If element of J is check. Correct answer of the question 1 is equal to the value. Whereas the first question correct answer is what? It's trainer. Anyway, it's all about the logic regarding to the what?
Yeah.
The business logic, so you guys can work on it. So I already demonstrated how do we read the values of the selected radio buttons. So you can solve it, you can fix it. Because whatever the concern is, it's with respect to the business logic, not with respect to the concept of the JavaScript. So you guys can work it out. So I hope is there any other question? Somebody else?
No.
Okay. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry, I didn't have a look at it.
Yeah.
No, not you, not you. Okay, fine. Alright guys, okay, I hope everything is good now. So everybody is comfortable with what I discussed so far on HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now, okay. Let me try to fix this problem with Shiva today. Or I'll ask Shiva to get in touch with you to fix the problem. Now the same example, I would like to do it with a jQuery. The same example, I would like to do it with a jQuery. So I'll be introducing you to the concepts of the jQuery. So what is jQuery is? jQuery is a JavaScript framework. jQuery is a JavaScript framework. Okay. Now what is the advantage of jQuery? We're gonna see that. What I do is, I'll create another HTML file. Let's name it as a second.html. Then whatever the data you have in the first.html, I try to put it into the second.html. I won't be writing any script over here because I would like to write the same script using jQuery. So I get rid of all those events which I binded with the HTML. Yeah, that's it. So I have a plain HTML here. Then I have a CSS, I have a script tag. Or you don't see anything inside a script tag. Okay. just give me a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. So I said I'm going to discuss jQuery today. Now let's see what is jQuery and what is the significance of this. Let me put a paragraph. Now here, jQuery is a JavaScript framework. Now one need to understand the meaning of the framework here. What is framework? Framework is one which simplifies the way we do. Framework is one which simplifies the way we do things. So JavaScript also got a framework called jQuery. There are many frameworks actually, right? We have plenty of JavaScript frameworks, but the most popular of all of them is jQuery. There are plenty of JavaScript frameworks out there. There are plenty of JavaScript frameworks. We got jQuery, one of them. We have Backbone. We got Node.js. We got Backbone. We got Node.js. We have Angular.js. We got EXT.js. So plenty of JavaScript frameworks we have. So the most popular of all of them is jQuery. So we're gonna use jQuery today, right? Now this jQuery is available in two forms. So jQuery is available in two forms. One is core jQuery and the other one is jQuery UI, which we won't be interested into this jQuery UI. It's all about the widgets. Normally, I'll quickly introduce you to the jQuery widgets, but I'm not going to use them. There is something called jQueryui.com. Now here, you have a demos. You have a lot of options over here. Now you see the accordion. There is a widget called accordion. So normally, in order to develop this, as a UI developer, I am expected to write a lot of HTML and jQuery. If I want to do this, I was expected to write a HTML and jQuery. I was expected to write a lot of HTML and JavaScript functions. But here, if you look at the piece of code to get it done, it's very simple. Of course, you need a library function. See, the simple step to get things done. If you write those 3 lines, you have your accordion ready. I have selected 3 lines, line number 11 to line number 13. If you write those 3 lines, your accordion is ready. But of course, you need to add these libraries here, whatever you see here. You need to add these libraries. But you don't need to write any piece of code to get that functionality. You just need to invoke this function to get the functionality. So there are a lot of other things actually. It's not only the accordion. Most familiar this thing, autocomplete. Again, what you need to do? You don't need to write a lot of code. A small snippet. That's it. It will take care of. So you have a lot of other things. You have a date picker. So you don't need to depend on your, actually you can use date picker or you can use HTML5 date attribute. You have a type, we have input type equal to text. We have input type equal to text. We have input type equal to what we have password, type equal to radio, type equal to checkbox. In the same way we have type equal to date. But that is from HTML5 and HTML5 may or may not be supported by all the browsers. Whereas this is irrespective of the browser, your date picker works. So in this way there are a lot of options you have. There are a lot of widgets. But we don't need to worry about all these things, right? Because we are targeting Java. So what you need to do is, in case if you want to go on to UI development, that is for completely HTML people who write HTML. But there is one more thing called jquery.com. There is one more thing called jquery.com. This is something which one need to be familiar with in case if you are aiming at UI developer. When I say UI developer, UI and services integration. So it means the server will send the data to you and you want to display the data onto the web page, then you need to be familiar with jquery.com. But who need to be familiar with jQuery UI.com? The persons who develop HTMLs, the person who design the web page, they need to be familiar with jQuery UI.com. But in case who need to be familiar with jQuery.com? The person who want to get the data from the server, and that whatever the data he got from the server, in case if you want to put it onto the web page, now if you look at your last example, I had a JavaScript object. In the JavaScript object I had a data. Now I want to display the data onto the web page in the form of HTML. Then that person need to be familiar with jQuery.com. Now this jQuery.com will give you an JavaScript file. You see something here, download jQuery. If you see something, download jQuery here, then it will give you the lot of options. Do you need a production jQuery or development jQuery? When you say production jQuery, this is unreadable. You cannot try to read this. You got jQuery.com. Then let's go for development jQuery. Now you see this is something readable. So it's up to you what you want to pick. This takes a more space. This takes more space. Your jQuery takes this what we call it as this development jQuery takes more memory in comparison to your production jQuery. Now what I do is I copied the content from there, right? Now I create a HTML file here. I mean, I don't create HTML file, I create a JavaScript file. What I want to call it as? Yeah, jQuery.js. Then into this I'll paste the content which I copied from the internet. Now you got here, I'll be adding script type equal to text or JavaScript. Then you have a source attribute, you can say jQuery.js. Now you added that library to the HTML document. Now you added that library to the HTML document. Now what you're gonna do next? Now you need to say $.ready function Now within this you're gonna write all your script now. Within this you're gonna write all your jQuery. Now what is the advantage of this jQuery? Right? One more thing you need to know about jQuery. jQuery ensures that script executes only after the HTML is completely loaded. HTML is completely loaded. jQuery ensures that script executes only after the HTML is completely loaded. Now if you see, I have a script tag, right? Now within the script tag, I'm writing an alert. Within the script tag, I'm writing an alert. Now let me run this HTML document. Now you see, you don't see HTML. You don't see HTML, you see the script. Now after I click on OK, then you see the rest of the HTML getting loaded. So normally what happens is, your script executes first and then your HTML gets loaded. Or you can say, your script executes along with the HTML. Normally, script executes along with HTML. But what is jQuery doing? jQuery ensures that script executes only after the HTML is completely loaded. So if I put this alert box inside this ready, if I put that alert box inside this ready, now you see the difference. There is something wrong. It should work. Let me go back and see. I'm sorry. Uh, it's not functioning, right? Let me do this. Both the syntaxes should work actually. Yeah, you see this. It's working now. See? So HTML is completely loaded, then you have your alert box. HTML is completely loaded, then you have your alert box. Whereas if you put this alert box outside of this document.ready, what happens? So, okay, let's not do this. First you get the alert box, then you get the HTML. Because script simultaneously tries to get executed. Whereas if you put inside a document.ready, it ensures that HTML is completely loaded and then your jQuery gets executed. That is, your script gets executed. Now what I can do within this? Document.ready. Now I would like to add those functions, right? We had those functions. What is that function? Go back to the second.html. Oh, sorry, first.html. I have written functions. Yeah, validate first name, right? I'll take this function. Now this is a function. So functions, you don't write it. Functions, you don't put it inside the script document.ready. It's an independent function. You can write it inside a script tag. Now what did I do there earlier? In the HTML itself, here I have written input type equal to text, name equal to first, ID equal to first name. Then what did I wrote here? On blur equal to, I have written a function, right? On blur equal to, I have written a function called validate first name or something. Now I don't want to combine HTML and JavaScript. Now what I do is, observe here carefully, you have a function. I say $of hash, what is the ID first name, dot on blur, you are binding. So you are telling that if somebody does on blur, what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to call the function validate first name, but that need a value, right? That need a value. So you can say that's it. So $of hash first name, hash in the sense ID. Now here hash in the sense it's an ID. So get the element whose ID is first name. When somebody blur on it, call the function validate first name, and validate first name need a value, right? The value entered in the text field. So I'm getting here. Since it is text field, I'm doing this. $of hash first name get of 0 dot value. Go back, refresh it, do the blur. Oh, it's not happening. So we need, okay. Oh, get of 0 is the element. Actually, this is a text field. So when I say get of, okay, let's do, you'll understand. Let me not directly go here first. First, var element equal to $of hash first name. Right. So this is nothing but document dot get element by ID. This is equal to document dot get element by ID. Now I try to say element dot value. What is the text field value I'm trying to get? Let me refresh. I think I need to do refresh here. Control Shift J. Yeah, there is something undefined here. Line number 29. Line number 29. Undefined is not a function. This is undefined. It's working also. Okay. So what is happening? What is the value in the text field? Arun Kant, right? But you get object, but you get the undefined as it, right? So the reason is it is returning an array of object or something like. So when I say, that is the reason what I do is, I think even doesn't work. Refresh. Yeah, empty. Now you see. Alright. So this is what I was trying to do there. Get of 0 dot value. So for input elements only you need to do this. Only get of 0 will tell you get that element. It returns like an array. From that array of elements, get the element. But I know that there is only one input element, right? See, when I did blur, I'm doing the blur on what? The element with ID first. I'm doing the blur on what? Element with ID first. With the ID you find only one element, right? So that is what? Array of 0. When I say get of 0, it is nothing but array of 0. Now you got the value. Now what you need to do? You need to pass this value to what? To the function called validate. Validate first name. You pass it to validate first name there. Keep it empty. First name cannot be empty, right? Now what I do is, this is something again what JavaScript. This is something again what JavaScript. How do I do it with HTML, with jQuery? Simple. $of hash, $of hash, ID, error, first name, dot HTML. What do you want to do? Oh, empty, right? Nothing. Because why I'm doing dot HTML? Why not I'm doing get of 0? Because it's a table data. It's not an input field. If you observe, what is error first name? Error first name is a TD, table data. It's not an input field. If it is an input field, you should do that. Now when it is not an input field, if it is not an input field, this will do good. If it is an input field, then you should say get off 0. Alright. Yeah, any questions on that? Or is it clear? And other thing is, you are writing everything in a script. So by looking at the HTML, you cannot say what all the events you are binding, because you are not binding on the element now. Earlier I wrote it here, on blur equal to something like this, but I don't need to do this. So this is how you keep your HTML. You keep your HTML completely away from the script. You keep your HTML completely away from the script. So next time if I want to go back and apply this function for something else, so this is how you apply. You can write as many as you want. What you want to do on submit button? What you want to do on submit button? So here I was writing, right? On submit equal to return validate registration form or something. Get rid of it. Here you have input type equal to submit. So how do you refer this element? For this element there is no ID attribute. So what I can do is I can give an ID attribute to it. Let the ID is submit. So again I can say $of hash. It's an ID. So what I am supposed to do? Hash submit dot. I'm not sure whether this exists or not. I'm just giving a try. On submit, give an alert. I'm just giving an alert call. I click on this button. No, there is nothing called submit. Let me try on submit. No, there is nothing called on submit functionality here. What we can do is we can right click instead of on submit. Got alert. What we can do is let's try to figure it out. So we have a submit function. Why it's not working? And let it take even. Oh no. We have a function called submit. Okay, let's try the other way. There's another way of binding it on submit. Here. Input type equal to submit, value equal to go, submit function. Okay. It's an ID only I get. I think I need to do this prevent default. Prevent default is you are preventing the default action of the submit button. But still you should get that alert box with respect to no. Let's go back. Okay, let me give some other name. Submit form is ID. If somebody is submitting the form on submit, it seems to be okay. Okay, I'm not sure the reason why it's not working because we have this actually. Oh, yeah, it says it's submit event doesn't bubble in the Internet Explorer. So I should work consistently with jQuery 1.4 onwards. I'm not sure the reason. Right. So it should work. So he has given another piece of solution. So first let me write here. So what I can do is I can just go with click. Then I can validate the data. I can do the validations. Then if validations, I can call some validate function, let's say function validate and return true. So after validation, when you return true, you can just call the function. If that function means here you can do this. If that validate function is returning a true, then you can say dot submit hash submit form. So on click, you are calling the validate function. Now that validate function, if it returns a boolean value true, then you are submitting the form. Otherwise, you don't submit the form. I think this makes sense. Now I was depending on ID attribute, right? Now instead of ID attribute, I can also do other stuff. Let's talk about the Jquery selectors. You always don't need to depend. There is no need to depend on ID attribute. Here you pick up Jquery selectors. Then you can pick it on ID. You can pick it on class. You can also pick it on the tag name. See, $p picks all the paragraphs. Pick the element with the ID. Pick all the elements with the class. Right. Now there are a lot of other options actually. Jquery selector. Yeah. Here, this is what? This is a paragraph in the div. Now you can try this actually. $of input element which got an attribute type name equal to value, type attribute value should be equal to submit. Alright, just give me a minute. Back. So let's read this. What is the selector has to say about? Selects all elements matched by input that have a name value exactly equal to my name. That is, the name is an attribute, my name is a value of the attribute, input is a tag. Right. So let's try this. So I'm asking to pick the element input whose attribute is type and the value is submit. Then let's see whether on click I'll add let me comment this out. So testing selectors. What I am trying to do, I'm trying to test different selectors. So hope no, it's not functioning, right? Let's look at the console. Yeah, unrecognized error. So that syntax is not valid. So input tag, and you got at the rate, and you have a name attribute equal to select all elements matched by. Okay. Let's look at this. How do we read? How do we get element with attribute value using jQuery? Yeah. Input. This is the value attribute. I think, oh, we don't need to use at the rate, I think here. The mistake I made was I was using the at the rate. There is no need to use at the rate. So you have your complete jQuery, will depend on the selectors. So the more you learn about the selectors, the more it becomes easier for you to work on jQuery. So whatever I did in the last class, I can also do it with the jQuery in this way. Document.ready. Why we put it inside a document.ready? So that the script executes only after the complete HTML is loaded. Then you can bind the events. Then within that, you can call the sub functions, and you can write the sub functions outside document.ready. And you can write all those sub functions, and when you bind the event, you can do it whatever you want to do here. Now, what is the advantage of using the jQuery is? What is the advantage of using the jQuery is? You don't combine HTML and JavaScript. You don't combine your HTML and JavaScript. If you see, nowhere in this HTML, there is a snippet which says, hey, this is what JavaScript. So you completely separated the JavaScript from the HTML. So this is what makes the job of people independent of each other. So he can write HTML independently, then I can write my JavaScript independently without depending on each other. At the end, what I'm supposed to do is I just need to add the ID attributes here. Or you can add ID attributes, or you can also add class attributes. So if you want to know how many class attributes are there, I can do that too. So here I want to tell within the script var elements equal to dollar of dot class. So get all those elements which got the class attribute as error. That's it. And you can alert and say elements dot. So how come it is 2? No, how is it? Let me do this here. Your HTML got loaded, then it is saying 2, right? So to what all the elements you added the error attribute, class attribute error. So you added to only 2 elements. You see, there are only 2 elements with class equal to error. you want, I can add it to another. If I want, I can add it to another one. Then I can see the change in the count. I can see the change in the count. Now what you can do is, so you have here what? Length, right? Then you can also change it. Dollar of elements of 0. Alright. Dollar of elements of 0 dot attr. You are adding an attribute. What is the attribute you want to add? Class. And you're removing that attribute. Means you're not specifying any class name. You're not specifying any class name. Refresh. You have 3. Refresh. You have 3. Now you okay. Now you do one thing. Go back and see inspect elements. You got a body and you have a form. You have a table. Table body. You got table row first. Do you see the class attribute here? You see the class attribute, but you don't see the value of it. But here you say class equal to error. But here you don't say see class equal to error because you removed it. This is how you can remove the attributes. Or you can also add attribute. You can also add attribute. You removed it, right? You can add more than one class also. Error another. But there is no class called error another, but still it gets applied. There is no class called error another, but still it gets applied. Refresh. Right click, inspect element, or you can do Control Shift J. Control Shift J. What happened? Yeah, you got elements here. Then you got a form. You got a table. You got a table body. You got a table row. Look, class equal to error, class equal to error another. So this way you can add class attributes also. So this is how you can separate the JavaScript from the HTML document. So any questions on what I covered so far? Is it simple? Alright. Okay, so what else is left on jQuery? So jQuery is all about selectors. jQuery is all about the selectors. So if you are comfortable with the selectors, then you can do whatever everything in jQuery. So here we go. So where it was in tutorialspoint.com. But jQuery tutorial in tutorialspoint.com is not everything. So it will tell you, what all the CSS functions you have, what all the events. But jQuery Ajax I'll discuss later. Rest of the things are easy, you can go through it. But jQuery Ajax you cannot do that. Why you cannot do jQuery Ajax? Because that you need to know what is Ajax first. And before you know what is Ajax, you need to understand server-side programming. So tomorrow I am going to get started with server-side programming, and then I'll go with the Ajax. So other than excluding the jQuery Ajax, you can all go through all of the other stuffs because they are much easier. You can go through from here, tutorialspoint.com, or you can also look at w3schools.com, learn jQuery, and in this you just need to focus on this. You can go through all of them, excluding the jQuery Ajax, then you can look at the jQuery selectors. This is something very, very important. You need to know all the kind of selectors you have. So any questions on whatever the little I covered towards the jQuery today? All right. If no questions, I would like to stop here. You can solve the same assignments using jQuery. Yesterday I gave assignments using JavaScript, right? The same assignments you can also solve it using jQuery. All right. If no questions, I would like to stop. Thanks everybody.